In this video I'm going to go over the second side or the second setup of the sprocket. To do this I'm going to make a new assembly and put in the fixture and the sprocket. So I'm going to put in the sprocket fixture and the sprocket itself and constrain them together. Before I constrain them, I'm going to ground the fixture itself. Then I'm going to constrain the sprocket here to the fixture, and I do want to clock it properly, so I want to make sure that this one of the axes for this hole is lined up with the hole in the fixture itself. Now this would be held down by screws from the bottom. We'd have button head screws or socket head screws going in through the bottom, threading into the stock material that we machined from setup 1. Now that I have that constrained, we can go to the cam tab and get our setup. First thing I'm going to do is select the model here and the fixture. Then I'm going to select the origin. For here I'm going to select the origin on the Z is going to be on the surface of the fixture plate, but the origin is centered on this little the circle here. And so I'm just going to go selected point, make sure I select the right point. Looks like that's it. We can confirm by looking from the side. Yes, that's at the surface of the fixture, and it is at the center of that post, because we can probe off of that center boss there. Next thing I'm going to do is set up the stock. I'm going to do a fixed size box. If you remember, it's 4 inches by 4 inches. The original stock was a 1/2 inch thick, but on setup 1 we faced off 20 thousandths. At least that's what I did, and so I'm going to make this 0.48 inches to compensate for that 20 thousandths that was taken off. Now what we want to make sure is that the stock doesn't go into the fixture, so what we need to do is, instead of on the Z having the model centered in the stock, we're going to go offset from -Z and just set that offset to 0 to make sure that the stock is resting atop there. Now this isn't a realistic stock because we machined a bunch of material already all the way to this part, but basically this will be sufficient for us to machine the other side. So now that I have the stock done and the setup done, first thing I'm going to do is just face the top. And so to do that, we're going to use on the VF3 library the facing tool, which is tool 30. That's the shell mill there. I'm going to select that. I'm going to basically set the maximum depth at 20 thousandths. That's it. I don't like to take off more than that on the shell mill, so we'll go OK, and that will face that down. You can see that we have now faced to the surface there. Next thing we need to do is clear out all this material with an adaptive and then use a ball end mill to come down to get that shape. But remember, all of the holes have been machined from the other side, and all of these cutouts have been machined from the other side. So what we're going to do is go to the model, go to the actual sprocket, and edit the sprocket. So you can double click on it to edit it. And what we're going to do is suppress a lot of the things. Like we did in the last one, we're going to suppress the teeth. I'm hitting Control, left click, so I can select multiple things. I'm going to suppress this extrusion and the fillet that goes with those and the pattern of that. I am not suppressing that because we want that, but I am suppressing the holes and the pattern of the holes and the chamfer that goes with that. Okay, so suppressing all of that. You can suppress the center hole, but I don't think it's necessary because we're only using the ball end mill and the adaptive on this area here. We're not going to do the top because that's already been faced. So once I have all those selected, I can right click and go suppress features. So that's what we're left with here. Now we can go return, You will get an error, and the reason why is because if you remember the original constraint, we had one of those holes constrained with the holes in here. Now those holes are gone and it's complaining. Just go accept, you should be all right. And that's that error, that hole no longer exists for that mate, and so you can see that is complaining there. We're going to go back to the cam tab, and we're going to go to a 3D adaptive. And we're going to use, I'm just going to use the rougher, the 3/8 inch rougher. Right here, we can extend this out so you can see that's the 3/8 inch roughing end mill. I'm going to go select. Don't think we need to really change much. We have the depth is the bottom of the model. We could stay above that slightly because if you remember, we've already machined up to this height from the other side, and I really don't want to touch that, so maybe we can just stay above the fixture so we're not nicking the fixture at all. Honestly, I guess we can keep that at 0 because we can do the axial stock to leave and just leave that. So let's just change this to 10 thousandths, and then that will ensure that we're staying 10 thousandths above this. And we're going to leave 10 thousandths around the edge as well. I think that's all that we need. Let's hit OK and see what happens. See that we're stepping up, cleaning out all of that material with the roughing end mill. Now what we want to do is use the ball end mill to get this nice shape here. And so to do that, we're going to go to our 3D milling and go to scallop. The tool that we're going to use is a ball end mill. We can use the 1/4 inch ball end mill here, tool number 6. And then the next thing we need to do, let me select that. The next thing we need to do is select what we want to machine. And so I'm going to go here to where it says avoid/touch surfaces. I want to touch certain things. I want to touch this, this, and that. Remember, the top has already been faced, and we really don't go any further than that. Our bottom offset is what we've touched there, and then basically the step over, this is how fine of a surface finish you can get. We'll do 5 thousandths, which is a lot of passes, but it will leave a nice finish. If we wanted to make more of them and we didn't care about that finish, we could change that to 10 or 15, even higher distances, but you would see the little ribs as we machined it. So we're going to do that, scallop. You can see all of the passes that it does as it cleans that up and makes that nice shape there. So now that we've done that, we need to go back and edit the model so that we can do the chamfer in the machine cutouts. But before we do that, I need to protect these two setups because I'm going to reopen up or unsuppress all of those features on the model that I suppressed earlier. So I'm going to right click here and go protect. Where's that at? Sorry, I'm struggling here. Protect, right there. And so now that those are protected, I can go back to the model and double click on the sprocket, and I'm going to unsuppress all of those things that I suppressed earlier. So I'm selecting them all, and then right click and go unsuppress, and go OK. And now we have that. So now we can go back to the cam tab and we can get this little chamfer. To do this chamfer, what we're going to do, oh, I forgot to hit the return button. So I have to hit the return button because I'm still editing the actual part. So I go return and this will become ungrayed out. So now we can, we're actually going to use a 2D milling. We're going to use a trace. And the tool that we're going to use is the chamfer mill. So on the VF3 tools, I'm going to use the chamfer tool. I think it's tool number 8 there. select. I'm going to select these edges here. Keep going around, making sure we select all of those. Now that I have all those selected, I can go here and have chamfer. I'm going to do a 10,000ths chamfer. We want the tip to be offset by at least 15 thousandths because the tip is flat there. And then one thing we want to do is change the compensation to the left, because a trace will follow that exact line, and we want the tool to be offset to the left of this line. So think about it coming here, we want to be on the left side of that. I know my cursor's moving to the right, but you can consider the direction that maybe if we look at this one, if this is going this way, we want to be on the left side of that. So there we go. Then we can go OK. And that will give us that chamfer mode. You can kind of simulate and kind of see what that looks like as we go around and leave that with chamfer there. Okay. So now that we have that, we're done. Now you might ask, well, what about the teeth? Remember, we machined the teeth all the way to the full depth on the other side. All we really had to do on this side was get that scallop to get that shape. And so that should give us a complete part that can be then unscrewed, and we are done. Now, the hole that I had in the model on the Google assignment is a hexagonal hole, and we would create that hole with a broach. We would not do that on the mill, and I'll demonstrate that in class. But that is it.